The Stranger Things finale has aired and Stranger Things is officially done. And I want to say, I have a lot of thoughts about this. My general thoughts before I get into the actual video is, I thought the closing and the finale was actually pretty good. However, I do think we gave the Duffer Brothers too much credit because there's a lot of things that aren't explained. There's a lot of things that are still open-ended a little bit. And I think if you look at this show from the perspective of just watching it as it is with your brain off and not over-analyzing it, the finale, the whole season is actually pretty decent. But the minute you start over-analyzing stuff, it starts to get a little weird. But let's talk about the Stranger Things Season 5 finale. Cue the intro.
It's a bird! It's a plane!
It's a geek.
All right, y'all. So before I get into the finale itself, I want to let y'all know my thoughts about my rewatch of the season 5 as a whole. And I want to say my rewatch was actually way better than my first experience with everything, right? Even before recording this video now, I went back and rewatched the finale that I watched obviously last night. Volume 1, I enjoyed it way better. The pacing felt better. And then immediately being able to get into Volume 2 was great. I thought episode 4 and 5 were kind of the strong points of this season. I still think episode 4 is probably the best episode of the whole season, including the finale. 5 was good as well. And episode 6 and episode 7 is where it kind of draws down. But even watching episode 7 again, I like it more and I can appreciate what it was doing. Even though I still hate that, the coming out scene, they took some time to get off with the plot. So starting with the finale, right? I'm gonna go into my good. The great things about this was you really saw everybody's character arc and how they matured or didn't mature. I like seeing the progression of Holly and seeing her start out this season with being someone who's scared to in the season finale actually becoming Holly the heroic and leading some of the other kids out. I'll start with one of my issues that I have. If you overanalyze, is one, I know people are talking about how Derek was able to pull Holly from Vecna. I'll tell you how he was able to do that. And then two, how Derek was even able to get through the hole in the cave. That's funny, but the other thing is how Derek got tired in the mind, which is kind of weird. And even with that, it's like, okay, I might say, well, he'll still get tired in the mind. If that's the case, how come Max was able to basically walk around and do everything without her bones being weak? So anyway, those are like some of the issues while we were right there talking about Derek and Holly. For the Vecna thing, I really feel like the reason why he was able to pull Holly away is because Vecna, he could have got her, but as soon as Vecna touched that shadow part in that cave, you can see his tentacles retract. And that's something that you wouldn't catch unless you probably rewatch it. Holly's overall arc and leading everybody out was perfect. Getting to Elle, right? Elle doing her thing. The final battle what was good. It was a little anticlimactic though, because, and I felt conflicted because we're getting this amazing performance from Jamie as Vecna, and he was Henry. He did cool with just his facial expressions. And for me, some of this show, I was actually rooting for Henry, I'm gonna be honest. And then seeing how Elle easily beat him, like to me, he felt way more menacing in season 4. And even the finale of season 4 felt like the stakes were higher, even though no one had died yet. Allie dying, I felt like that was the Duffer Brothers' way of saying, hey, we need to kill somebody off in the show. I really feel like it was disrespectful because it kind of makes it feel like they look at us as stupid, as the audience. What is that death gonna do for us? Nobody really liked Kylie anyway, and they try to play it up as like something that would give us hope and give us this and that. But when she died, I was like, well, she's dead. I didn't really feel anything. The beginning of the plans and everything, and seeing how at first there might have been something wrong with Lucas is like, yo, this is not lining up. And we get the fake out scene, and I immediately told my girlfriend, yeah, Steve's not dying here. They had a lot of opportunities to kill people off. Steve's not dying, and they really played it up to make it seem like he would. And of course, Jonathan comes with a big save, and I like that because it shows Jonathan's growth. And we get the monologue where he's like, yo, I don't want you to die. We're not friends, but I don't want you to die. Yeah, just seeing everybody, Lucas and Max get their stuff.
Even Hopper and Joyce getting the proposal and getting their date at Enzo's was a nice touch.
to the epilogue and the character development and the growth. I forgot to put that in the actual video.
For the big fight, we got the Mind Flayer, and I'm gonna be honest, CGI, the VFX definitely needed some work. I'm not sure how it would have looked in the theater. You can tell it was a little off, even watching it at home. The green screen, everything was there. You can tell that they were on the soundstage. Even Lucas and everybody, when they first get to the bitch, they're like, yo, I thought it would have been monsters and stuff. And I'm like, shoot, I would have too. Because if y'all remember, the Demogorgons, Demobats, that all comes from the Abyss, but it was none of them in sight. I know a lot of people are saying that they all merged to the Mind Flayer to be the Mind Flayer's body. I disagree. It just felt like everything was too easy. I don't know. For all that work, 5 seasons of watching them grow and do this and do that, it just felt like it was too easy at the end. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was cool. I'm not sure what people will really expect from this, because seeing all the work they really had to do, y'all know that it was gonna be almost impossible for them to close all the plot points within a 2-hour time frame, especially when you have this 40-minute epilogue. So let's talk about the epilogue now before I get to my bad. I really felt like it would have hit more if we went more into the future. Like, a year and a half doesn't really do much for me. I like the scene where Dustin basically pays homage to Eddie, where, you know, they're saying he did the thing where he flipped the principal off, and that was something Eddie said he was gonna do when he graduated. But it felt weird seeing how Elle did or didn't die. And it just felt like a lot of people didn't really have that impact or care like I thought they would. Mike was the only one, but he ends up easily getting over it. And the first thing I thought about was like, okay, y'all made Dustin be so sad over Eddie's death, and he knew Eddie for like a couple months. But y'all grew up with 11 and everybody just seems perfectly fine. You could say that that's their way of accepting what Elle did, but to me, it's like seeing the impact that Elle had on everybody. To just see that everybody's cool for the most part was it felt a little off to me, you know. It didn't feel genuine. Everybody they're going their own way. I do feel like it was weird for we basically did the whole series of Nancy and Jonathan, Nancy and Steve, and Nancy just ends up not getting with any one of them. Then, and this is why I'm coming to the defense of the BYLER fans. We're gonna talk about that too. Matter of fact, we'll get into that now. I feel bad for y'all, and y'all know I'm not just someone who just rides with the majority, rides with the minority. I truly speak what I feel, and I feel bad for y'all because they didn't do Will justice at all. They didn't really do any of the gay or queer couples justice, because they kind of implied that Vicky and Robin were no longer together. I was wondering where the heck Vicky was in the epilogue, and Robin says something that kind of throws a shot at Vicky, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I see why y'all might have broken up, but it's kind of weird considering we just went through the whole arc, especially with Will, and you know, Will was like, yeah, that was my Tammy, and that was cool. And then we see another epilogue thing where Mike, I always get them too confused, where Will meets some random dude at a bar. And I was like, But even the thing with Will, right? Is that real? Is there not? Because those are stuff that Mike was just talking about. So that ending itself is a little odd, you know? I like that they did come out and just kill the BYLER stuff off rip though. And it was kind of sad and funny because you can tell when Mike and Will had their little thing, and apparently Noah had to tell the Duffer brothers to do that, which goes to show you what their mind was really on. But it's kind of funny, like Will was like, yeah, we can just be friends, right? And Mike says, no, not just friends. And Will kind of has that look like maybe there's a chance. And it passed back on Mike. And Mike's like, best friends. And I'm like, oh, shoot. I liked it, but I also felt bad because I'm like, man, they really, and then seeing the epilogue, it's like they're really not gonna really get their due justice. I forgot to put this in my video originally too, but I think it's a good point on why the coming out scene didn't even make sense anyway. Because essentially, the coming out scene was for Will to do what? Get his powers and do this and get more confident because he wants to do this to fight Vecna. But you literally didn't do anything crazy, miraculously different than before you came out. If anything, you did cooler stuff when you was in the closet. Not saying you should have stayed like that, but again, and I know this is mainly for people who were talking to me on my last video. It proves to y'all that the coming out scene, in the grand scheme of things, it's almost like they just did it and said, here, take it. Like, the Duffer Brothers did it just to do it and not to actually have any impact on the story. It didn't make sense for Vecna to care in the first place. And then y'all don't even give Will any extra powers, any extra power bump, no juice or anything. All he does is snap Vecna's arm, and then that's it. So, yeah. But again, like I was telling people in my comments in my last video, which did really well, if y'all want a show that has these type of storylines, y'all can watch. I'm pretty sure there's other gay shows out there where they have romance plots and stuff like that. Y'all can go watch those type of shows. But I'm not saying that shouldn't have been a thing in this show either. I'm just saying, if that's what y'all were looking in this show for, a show that wasn't that, y'all can actually watch a show that is that. I mean, for the most part, I think everything closed out well. Even the final scene where we get everybody putting up their binders. I do think it would have been better if Max wasn't there at the D&D table and it just would have ended with the 4 people, the 4 original cast. It was beautiful, man. It was a beautiful send-off, and then seeing the door close behind Mike, and this is a closing of the Stranger Things chapter. Now, I will say this before I get into my bads. It didn't hit as much for me. It will hit a lot for people who watched this when it actually came out in 2016. If you go back to my first Stranger Things video, which I posted in like September, October, I actually binged all of it in October, I think. So I didn't have that sentimental value of growing up with these people like y'all did. So for me, seeing all those flashback scenes, for me, it's like, okay, I just watched that like 2 or 3 months ago, you know? So for everyone else who grew up with it, I can tell how that hit for y'all, how that was emotional for y'all. It just wasn't for me because, again, I didn't grow up with this show like y'all did. I'm very interested to see what they're gonna do for the spinoff. There are 2 ways they can probably go with it. I know they have the Montauk thing, Hopper and Joyce going to New York City to start some drama. That's also an issue. How was Hopper technically alive? Because didn't he technically die to everyone else's perspective? So how is he alive and still the chief of police? Even if that's not the case, how is he alive and the chief of police and he killed all those military people? They can do that, or they can do a spinoff with Holly. I think the spinoff with Holly will probably be a little more interesting considering we just basically got a season with her and her acting was amazing. So yeah, let's get to some of these complaints that I have, and I basically just bookmarked all this stuff from Twitter. Okay, there's this first thing here that's kind of criticism. The thing where Mike is in LL's mind and they're kind of having their final little moments. This episode was very, very predictable. Again, all the predictable fake out deaths, everything was basically a happy ending. There wasn't no twist though, so there wasn't anything shocking in this episode. Everything went literally, a 14-year-old could have predicted this. You know what I'm saying? In his acting in that final monologue, well, not final monologue, but the one with Elle was bad, all right? It didn't feel genuine, like he was actually sad that Elle was finna die. Especially seeing how Millie Bobby Brown is putting on this acting performance and then Finn's just doing what he's doing. It was kind of weird. Kind of already talked about the Robin and Vicky stuff. Like I said, I think they broke up. Robin said something about including overbearing significant others. I don't see, the thing I hate about this is from what we were shown, I don't see how Vicky was overbearing. The only thing I can probably see is like maybe the benzos thing, but looking at it from her perspective, she might have thought Vicky was actually taking all them pills. So who knows, bro? But that was interesting. Y'all didn't kill nobody off. Y'all could at least kill Ted and he was still there. The way they absolutely wasted her, having her be solely responsible for Max, especially when the military stormed searching for them, while worrying about her girlfriend on a dangerous mission, such a golden opportunity, and you just did nothing with it. Yeah. They didn't really do anything with Vicky at the end. As much as I really loved the battle, it was so anticlimactic, no high stakes at all, because what do you mean not a single Demogorgon was present in the finale and nobody in the main cast died? I would have thought that would have been something too. Just have a Demogorgon there for the love of the game. You know, it all started with a Demogorgon before we knew Vecna and the Mind Flayer. And even how they played that up with the scene of, I thought they were actually going to go into the play. They really didn't go into the play at all. I mean, they went into a little bit. You could kind of guess that Joyce and him and Hopper and all of them knew that Henry was from school, but maybe it wasn't even really as important as we thought. No Demogorgon was kind of like like the abyss should have been swarming with Demogorgons. The Duffer Brothers confirmed the Demogorgon is not telepathic and he did not open Will's door in season 1. Someone else did in the final season will reveal who. We never got that reveal. We never did. Someone said, the reason I wasn't a fan of the finale is because it relies so heavily on nostalgia and pull at the heartstrings. It is very predictable. It's funny because the Duffers swore we wouldn't have guessed it, but we've been guessing this for years. even the general audience had. Yeah, like I said, it definitely was trying to do the thing where we're going to pander to the emotions and all that, which is fine. Before finale of a show this big, I expected something a little more grandiose. It kind of just felt like it was a little weak, you know? But again, all the characters I feel content with like how their story ended, but the finale as a whole, a little underwhelming. Someone's talking about Jamie's performance is otherworldly. I do want to say this, and I saw someone talking about it too. The thing about Will being in the mind flayer and the hive mind. Why did Will not feel anything about the head chopping off? He didn't feel none of that, but he felt the gunshot, pain, all the mind flayer, Vecna, and Henry. Mind flayer, Vecna, and Will were all feeling that. He got time to call the final blow, which I thought was a little annoying. It's Joyce effing Byers who killed Vecna, and all the memories of friends and dears being displayed when she's killing. Oh God, it was so emotional. Yeah, like I said, for me, watching this, I didn't cry or anything because again, I had just watched all this stuff. But Joyce definitely deserved to get the final blow because there was a point in time in the show where everybody was looking at her stupid and she was the one who was putting all these pieces together. So to see her close that door and close that chapter was great. That was probably the most brutal kill scene that she made that man shoot himself. Yeah, that scene was cool. They could have killed Murray there too, but anyway, again, very predictable. I also talk about the Kali and the L thing too. Is L really dead? Seeing her do that, snap everybody's necks and make the dude shoot himself, I was like, whoa, they went there. But with Kali, right? I honestly feel like L's dead. And the reason I say that is because the bomb went off. First of all, she was bleeding out anyway. She got shot probably like an hour or so before they even escaped out the upside down. So she was bleeding out for a minute. Even if she was somehow allowed to do that stuff, she would have been dead because the bomb exploded literally at Hawkins' lab, which is where she died at, or where she was last at. I don't think she would have had enough juice to do all that and make everybody seem like Elle was invisible. And the Duffers, I know y'all wanted to do this to get more reactions and get more talks about it, but honestly, man, it would have been better if it was closed, because I feel like Elle's dead. But it's a thing of where if you believe she's dead, she's dead. If you don't believe she's dead, she isn't dead. So main villain killed halfway in. Nobody important died. No explanation on Henry Creel origin story. And on the 18-month time zone, Stranger Things finale was the stupidest effing ending I've seen, right up there with Umbrella Academy. It wasn't the stupidest ending, bro. Henry Creel origin story, again, I feel like they should have did more on that. You know, if you didn't watch the play or do any research on the play, it would look a little suspect. Yeah, killing the villain halfway in. I'm one of those people who didn't really think the epilogue needed to be that long. The scene with Steve and Robin and Nancy, Jonathan, all of them up on the top of the thing, the WSK building, I felt like that was entirely too long. The epilogue was entirely too long. We didn't need that much time. All that could have been the same thing in like a 20-30 minute epilogue. Not only in Stranger Things, Vecna might be the weakest final villain a TV show has ever produced. Doesn't kill anyone and accomplishes nothing. True. Gets mocked and physically overpowered by a chubby white kid, the GOAT. Wipes out an entire military force, yet loses to a bald teenage girl. Has the most powerful supernatural entity on Earth backing him and still fails. A $400 million finale built around him, outsmarted by children, then finished off by a gilf. Alright, bro. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I feel like, man, if you would have got anybody else other than Jamie playing Vecna, he wouldn't have hit as hard, bruh. Because him as a villain was actually written pretty bad. I feel like he was the best in season 4. I think I already said that in this video. But I really feel like he was the best last season. And he was kind of, his plan was a little weird. Like, why does he even want to mesh the world together? It's like, there's a lot of stuff that really wasn't fully explained. But again, I don't think the Duffer Brothers really intended on doing most of that, fully explaining. I think that's much just about it. I'm pretty sure I've kind of touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. Some people are still asking, why was Will taken on November 6th? Why was the Upside Down stuck on that day? Why did Henry choose him? I think it's just because everything, even though Lucas said there's no coincidences, I think most of that was just coincidences. I'm gonna be honest, like, November 6th just lined it up for a lot of things. I mean, just it's easier just to not look into it, you know, how it is. And why did Henry choose him? How they put it up in the season, he chose him because he knew he was gay. But the villain that y'all showed us, I don't think Vecna would have cared Will was gay. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't put this up there with the greatest shows of all time. And I'm sad because after watching season 4, I was thinking it could be up there. But this finale and how seeing the writing completely crumble, it was very telling. Like Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time, up there with The Sopranos and all them shows. Snowfall, I don't think it was nearly as great as written as any of those because there's just so many things that are not concluded. So many things that are just open-ended. But yeah, it's up there. If you grew up with this show, obviously you have more love for it, but that's just how I feel about it. But yeah, I know y'all are tired of me yapping. What did y'all think about the Stranger Things finale? What did y'all think about Stranger Things as a whole? Are y'all sad that this door is finally closed? Or maybe because of how the season 5 ended, are y'all happy that we don't have to wait for Stranger Things? So y'all let me know how y'all feel about it, man. If you love the video, like the video. Don't let it be slow. If you don't want to roll 2 subscribers, I appreciate it. If you like my content, share my content. Before I end, if you're new here just for Stranger Things content, I don't make Stranger Things content. My content is mainly focused on, geeky stuff. So like Marvel, DC, anything that's in the realm of like media. Like, so I cover Stranger Things because it was a big thing right now. But yeah, that's kind of what I focus my channel mainly on. So anime, of course. So yeah, if you're into that content, if you like that type of content, subscribe and you'll see more of that stuff here. But yeah, without further ado, I'm out. Peace.